Welcome to my garage. So I'm Joe, and this is my 1979 Honda CBX motorcycle. So I'm really excited today because I get to start up the motorcycle for the first time. So I bought this over a year ago. It's been a huge project of mine, and it's been one of my dream builds that I've wanted to do since I started restoring motorcycles. So I'm gonna get some oil in. I'm gonna make a little change to the exhaust from my last video, and then we're gonna try and start it up and hope everything goes well. If it doesn't, then I guess we'll work through it. So someone commented online with how I had installed the exhaust, and they said it looked like the exhaust was sitting out a little bit. So what I'm gonna try and do is unscrew this bolt and see if I can move the exhaust to the inside of this mount. I mean, that's pretty considerable. I mean, that's gonna move the exhaust over, it looks like 2.5 inches, which is probably where it needs to be. So I didn't get any instructions because I bought this secondhand, but we'll make that adjustment. And before I do that, I'll make sure I loosen the bolts up at the header pipes just to make sure I'm not causing any stress or anything where I'm not supposed to. So let's give that a shot. All right, so let's loosen these just a little bit. All right, so that should be good. All right, next step is to loosen these bolts. All right, so let's get this off. Perfect. Make sure everything's lined up, and now I can screw back in this bolt. You can see the pipes are now much closer, and that's the way it is supposed to be. So now I need to do the same thing with the left side. Let's get this unscrewed. Pull this out just a little bit. No problem at all. All right. Now I can tighten this down. All right, so you can see now, pipes are much closer to the middle of the bike. I may want to see if I can adjust the left side to get them a little more even, but much better. All right, next step is we need to get some oil into the bike. So we've got, it says oil capacity, it says 4.2 quarts at change or 5.8 at engine assembly. So that's like 1.5 quarts difference. I'm sure we're going to be closer to this number than we are that one because we had the oil cooler off, right? So this is the oil cooler, and then these lines feed to both sides. So let's remove the dipstick, and it's obviously dry. I'm gonna put a rag over the exhaust pipe just to try and keep it as clean as possible. Any oil that drips onto the exhaust pipe, once you start it up, it's gonna make it permanent. So let's start filling this up, and then I'll monitor under the bike just to make sure it's not leaking from anywhere. Even though there's 6 carbs, there's only one place where I have to plug the fuel into. Fuel is starting to go into the carbs. I don't see any gas coming out. The accelerator pumps are working. Put a little more fuel in. So that's good. I don't see any leaking. I do want to see if I can get it to start without the air box. I can always add it on after. This will help me troubleshoot a little bit. All right, let's turn it on. Should be in neutral. I'm gonna put on my safety gear. We'll give it a shot. right, getting pops. Okay, I'll pull out the choke. All right, that was a good start. The oil pressure light went off, so I think oil's circulating. I got it to start. That's great. I'm gonna set up a fan and see if I can't actually get it up to running, and then I'll just monitor a little bit. Oh, exciting. All right, just check the oil. The oil's definitely circulating. I need to fill it up, and I'll keep doing that. I've been monitoring for leaks, and we have 2 leaks that we need to fix, at least that we know of right now. So we've got one, which is this carb float bowl. Luckily, it's number 1, so I gotta go through and fix that. I also realized that one of the exhaust studs is coming out. So those thread in, so I'm going to try and get it re-threaded properly. That way I can tighten down the exhaust, because I do hear a little bit of an exhaust leak coming from header pipe number 3. So let's fix them. All right, so the reason I know the exhaust stud is coming out is I kept trying to tighten it, and it didn't seem like this was getting any tighter. This stud is also sticking out further than any other stud. Now, whenever you're working on something this old, I do expect a bunch of problems, right? Folks who had worked on these bikes in the past, you know, there's always some things that were wrong with them. So luckily these 2 are pretty minor, hopefully, but we'll just try and knock them down one problem at a time. So what I should be able to do is screw on both these nuts, screw them in back to back, and then I think it'll let me screw in the rest of the stud. So let's try this. All right, so I think we're good for right now. On to the carb bowl. All right, so I want to remove this bowl. I can still see fuel leaking from right here. All right, so this is the hose that I typically use when I drain carbs. Let's drain this. And it's only draining this one bowl. It's not draining any of the others. So that's good. So I'll screw this back in. So I have a JIS bit, and then I have my 90-degree screwdriver. I've used this so many times when I was in tight spaces. All right, so I remove the screws from the bowl. Let's see if I can get this removed. The bowl looked okay. I wonder if the gasket was pinched, because it does look like it was pinched a little bit, and that may have been causing the leak. It does look like it may have been just a little off center, and that's all it takes is a little bit of pinching, and then it can leak like it did. All right, just took a quick trip to AutoZone because I needed these worm clamps for the intakes. So I had these custom made by Tim's CBX, and these are going to fit right around here, and then I will attach them to the carbs. So I'll lift this up because this is one of the hoses from the carbs. All right, so I will slide this on. Now I gotta do the other side. All right. That took a little work, but they're officially in, and they didn't contact any of the hoses or my regulator. Ooh, that was lucky. All right, so I'm finally at a spot where air intakes are on, the exhaust is in a good spot, we shouldn't have any oil leaks or fuel leaks. So now I'm gonna see if I can actually run the bike, get it to idle, see how it behaves if I leave it on for a couple minutes. All right, let's test the temperature of the exhaust pipes. Okay, 150. 140. All right, that's 75. That's 130. That's 150. So number 4 is not firing or it's weak. So I gotta check that out. I gotta make sure all the connections are good there, but the rest of them look okay. So that's a wrap for today. I think it was pretty successful. I think we took care of a bunch of problems. We got the CBX running, which is fantastic. That says a lot about the engine, that it's able to run, it's able to idle. Sure, there's still some tuning that I need to do in the carburetor, but making great progress. So thanks for watching. If you want to get notified when I release new videos, feel free to subscribe. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's good.
That's very good.
Yeah. Because you didn't know. You didn't know.
No.
Good job.
Thank you. A lot of time
A lot
spent.
of hours in that one.
Yes.
Good.
Goodness.
I heard it pop.
Well, I had the ignition off
Oh.
and I kept running it and it didn't start till it was shooting fuel in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what the pop was.
Got it.